Brendan Rodgers. Arsenal in 6th in the table on 48 points. They're 2 points behind 4th place Manchester United, but they have 4 games in hand. Leicester currently in mid-table, but they have scope to turn their season around as well. Kick-off just over 5 minutes away. You are listening to Premier League Live.
It's the ultimate fusion of football and celebrity. The Best 11 podcast from TalkSport. Johnny Owen and Mark Webster interview the biggest names in popular culture, looking back at the role the beautiful game has played in their lives.
Paul Weller. Could I just start off apologising for last weekend?
Actor Stephen Graham. Good morning, Stevie.
Morning. Sharing their earliest football memories,
how they celebrated their team's successes,
culminating in their all-time Best 11.
Noel Gallagher.
Let's deal with the hangover and let's have it again after that.
The Best 11 podcast. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Tom Rennie. Join me for a weekly podcast, Week in the Tackle, available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm going to be joined by Brian Dunser, MLS legend, to tackle the biggest stories from the week in soccer.
And the great thing about working with Tom and making Week in the Tackle is we're only going to be covering things we think are worth tackling.
This show is all about passion. What's going to get us riled up? What's going to get you riled up to give us all something to chew on?
We're not here to sit on the fence and tell you the stories of the day. That's what your phone's for. You'll be scrolling through Twitter while listening anyways.
Exactly. I'm scrolling through Twitter right now. I'll save you the trouble. It is all bad news. This show is about tackling all the news of the week, giving our take on why it's interesting and why we think you should know.
Who should be sacked? Who should be bought? Who should be sold? Who was right? Who was wrong?
Strong opinion, big stories, no agenda.
Week in the Tackle is available on Mondays from wherever you get your podcasts. If it's a big story in soccer, we'll tackle it.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the TalkSport hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
An improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan... reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the TalkSport hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Women's Football Weekly Podcast.
With Faye Carruthers. All the action, excitement and drama from across the entire women's game.
Cleared off the line by Steph Horton.
Including the Women's Super League.
Ellen White is there to tap it in.
The UEFA Women's Champions League.
Lana Clellan striking from outside the penalty area.
And the Euro 2021 qualifiers.
On the edge of the area to Emsley. And Emsley's going to finish it off.
Plus, all the home nations' international friendlies.
Lucy Bronze with the strike from the edge of the penalty area.
World-beating big match conversation.
There's Jodie Taylor.
Subscribe now to the Women's Football Weekly Podcast on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Arsenal against Leicester City from Emirates Stadium. I'm your host, Kevin Hatchard, alongside me, the former Leicester striker, David Connolly. This is Premier League Live. And the stadium applauding as the players get behind a flag in the colours of Ukraine. The message is that football stands together. The message is that war in all of its forms is incompatible with the values of sport. Let me give you the two teams ahead of this evening's game. Aaron Ramsdale is the goalkeeper for Arsenal. Kieran Tierney, Gabriel, Ben White and Cedric the back four. Thomas Partey, the holding midfielder. And then Gabriel Martinelli, Granit Xhaka, Martin Ødegaard and Bukayo Saka supporting the lone frontman Alex Lacazette. Leicester with Kasper Schmeichel in goal, Luke Thomas, Chala Soyuncu, Daniel Amati and Ricardo Pereira at the back. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, Nampalys Mendy and James Maddison in midfield. And a front three of Harvey Barnes, Kelechi Iheanacho and Mark Albrighton, who scored a fantastic goal against Rennes in midweek. It is the unstoppable force against the immovable object today. Arsenal have won their last 4 Premier League matches. Leicester City have won their last 4 competitive matches. These are 2 teams in fantastic form. And David Connolly, just before kick-off, this has the makings of a really exciting game.
Yeah, absolutely. As we were talking about earlier, I think certainly if Arsenal were facing Leicester maybe a month ago, this might have looked a foregone conclusion, but the form Leicester are in, nearly everyone back. Maddison amongst the goals. Dewsbury Hall shown what a great player he is. I know there's no Vardy, but Iheanacho made an impact, didn't he, against Rennes off the bench. So this is a Leicester side that are in a completely different place. This will be a tough game.
The players take the knee, a symbol in the ongoing fight against racism and indeed all forms of discrimination, and we are underway in North London. Arsenal in their iconic red and white shirts and white shorts attacking the goal away to the left-hand side. Leicester in a kind of aquamarine change strip playing from left to right. Arsenal have won 8 of their last 10 Premier League games, including the last 4. Last Sunday they were 3-2 winners at Watford. As for Leicester, well, they are in a strong position to reach the quarter-finals of the Europa Conference League after they beat the French side Rennes 2-0 at the King Power on Thursday, with goals from Mark Albrighton and Kelechi Iheanacho. They've won their last 4 games in all competitions. Ben White with an early touch at the back for Arsenal. Came in for big money, £50 million, part of a £157 million spending spree that Arsenal embarked upon in the summer. They signed 6 players aged 23 and under. The highest spend in Europe, but it has had a positive effect, David.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you got to say, not all of their transfers at the time looked to make sense. You know, Ben White was expensive and Brighton looked to have the better deal there, 50 million quid. But, you know, he has shown, I think, you can build a team around him. Young, athletic, he can play, he's got a little bit of everything. He certainly fits into the DNA that Arteta would want from his team and from potential signings.
Loose pass gives Leicester a throw midway inside the Arsenal half. On the far side, the Leicester left was thrown by Luke Thomas, the young left back, towards Kelechi Iheanacho, who scored a vital goal against Rennes in midweek, right at the end of the game, that turns a 1-0 first leg win into a 2-0 first leg win. And while things are looking up for Leicester right now, it has been a tough season for them. They were thrashed 4-1 by their old foes Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup, failed to reach the knockout round of the Europa League. They blew a 3-1 lead in the League Cup at Liverpool before losing on penalties. Liverpool went on to win that tournament, and they have struggled defensively all season.
Yeah, they have. I mean, it's going to be a fascinating match-up down Leicester's left, because you've got Harvey Barnes there, I think is absolutely brilliant, up against Bukayo Saka as well. What a match-up that side is. Who's going to leave who? Who's going to gamble? You know, can you risk young Thomas up against Saka? That's a battle, isn't it, those two?
Ødegaard goes down in the centre circle, wins a free kick. It was a rather overzealous challenge from Chala Soyuncu, the centre-back for Leicester. 23rd start of this Premier League season for Soyuncu, but they've been short on numbers in that position, Leicester, this season. Wesley Fofana still hasn't played in the Premier League in this campaign. He was injured in pre-season, started to come back to training, but then got COVID, which is symptomatic of his season, really.
He's a miss. He's the only one in that back line with real genuine pace, and without him they just can't play the same sort of way. I think they're much better playing a little bit deeper, you know, not having such a high line. And you can see here that they're quite deep, they're sat in, just trying to deny that space in behind.
Forward by Ben White, flipping it over the top down the inside right channel to Alex Lacazette, using his strength to hold the ball up. Arsenal's number 9 feeds it out to the far side for Ødegaard. Lovely spin by Saka on the edge of the area, and he tried the reverse pass. I think he felt Lacazette was going to make a darting run into the penalty area.
I mean, that is where, you know, Saka is so bright, and Lacazette, they work really well. We saw them against Watford, or maybe we didn't. I keep saying we did. Kev, I just keep
imagining that I was there.
I was hoping you were with me, but but you weren't. But nonetheless, Saka, Odegaard, Lacazette, they're all on the same wavelength. Superb, technical, quick players. Lovely link-up play for Lacazette with Saka's goal. You know, he's a terrific sort of wall to play off. Doesn't maybe get the goals, but I also think he doesn't quite get enough of the ball, you know. I think if he did, he would finish more.
It's nice that David Connolly's thinking about me, even if we're working together or not. Played forward down this left-hand side by Leicester towards Skin and Dewsbury Hall, but the ball was fizzed at him and it cannons off his shin and goes out for an Arsenal throw. 4 minutes gone here on Premier League Live. It's a big game in the race for the Champions League. Arsenal 0, Leicester City 0. Arsenal 6th going into this one, but with 4 games in hand over West Ham and Manchester United above them.
This is really interesting in terms of how Leicester are pressing. It's almost like a 4-2-4. You know, they get the front four to go and press Arsenal's back line just to try and stop them playing those little balls into the middle of the park. You know, they're like screeners and blockers, and it just prevents Arsenal building up them playing into the middle third.
Marty spreads it to Soyuncu, had a disappointing European Championship with Turkey in the summer, forward by Dewsbury Hall. He's been one of the big winners of Leicester's season. He overhit that one all the way through to Aaron Ramsdale, but Dewsbury Hall's now starting 12 in a row in the Premier League. 23, joined the club at the age of 8, and he's been a really important player. Forward by Gabriel to Tierney down the left-hand side, over halfway. They were looking to release Martinelli there, who'd made a quicksilver run down that left-hand side, but Ricardo Pereira, back in the team today in place of James Justin, was able to make the interception. 6th minute of play. It is 0-0 between Arsenal and Leicester.
Yeah, but great bonus for Leicester, isn't it, having Pereira back? I mean, he's so unlucky with injuries. I think he was arguably the best, if not one of the best full-backs for Leicester in the Premier League before he got his ACL.
Had a broken fibula as well after that ACL injury. He's been plagued with injury problems and ill fortune. Forward by Tierney down the left for Arsenal. Here's Martinelli, the young Brazilian, scampering into the area, goes down. Referee Anthony Taylor has a look and says goal kick, no penalty.
Yeah, I think it was the right call here. Anthony Taylor's a good ref as well. Here's that high press again, this Leicester 4-2-4. Trying to press the ball at source, but it's just knocked over the top. Martinelli breaking into the box. Pereira does well to get back. Good foot race between those two. Just ease Martinelli out of it. Don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's good defending.
Arsenal have collected more points at home already than they did in the whole of last season. They've played 11 games here against sides outside the top 3, won 9 of them. Here's Saka's cross, that's blocked, goes behind, and it was good defending by Thomas, and that's going to be a goal kick to Leicester. But Arsenal just probing, especially down the sides of the penalty area.
Yeah, absolutely. Saka just coming in off the line to receive to feet, and Thomas went flying in on him. He's got to be careful because he lost it there, and there was a big space in behind him. Recovered well to make the block anyway.
Ball in towards Mark Albrighton, who produced a stunning opener against Rennes on Thursday, smashing the ball into the top corner. It's been such an important part of the squad for Leicester in the last few years. Here's Martinelli, tight to the left touch line, jabs the ball infield to Xhaka. Xhaka across to the edge of the area. Odegaard, Martinelli, and the right foot shot is blocked by Schmeichel. Flags up anyway for offside, but it was a lovely idea. And Kasper Schmeichel with a fine sprawling save.
Yeah, I mean, he is so bright. Martin Odegaard just peels off in this little number 10 position off the front. Tries to scoop the ball back into Martinelli. I mean, even that pass, he lifts it because it's at about thigh height. It means you can't sort of get your foot on it and intercept it. It's at thigh height. Really difficult for a defender to get a leg up. So smart. I mean, his brain's on another level. I think it takes a real special player to keep Smith Rowe out in the team, but you know, I think Martin Odegaard has really won over an awful lot of people who maybe thought, how good is he? Has he played regularly enough, you know, Madrid, etc. But I think his brain is on the next page.
He was the youngest ever player for Real Madrid at 16, but he found it hard to get regular first-team football, largely under Zinedine Zidane. He went on loan to Real Sociedad and he made such a good impact there that when he left, a lot of his teammates actually burst into tears at him going. He was a terrific player for them at Anoeta. Here come Leicester down the left-hand side looking for Mtch, who's been isolated so far in attack for Leicester. No Jamie Vardy today because of a knee injury. He's going to be out, we think, until next month.
I often had that as well, Kevin, but it was tears of joy when I left different clubs.
I'm sure a mixed reception.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Might have been one or two. Here is Ben White out to Cedric, who's had a good run in the team of late, the Portuguese right back. He started the last 5 games in the Premier League. They've won the first 4 of those, so good sign for him. Tomiyasu out injured at the moment. Ball knocked forward long. Saka down to the corner flag on the far side. The Arsenal right. Tracked by Thomas. Waiting for support to arrive. Bukayo Saka. That's a lovely 1-2. Saka's got it just inside the area. And he went for the shot left-footed and it was charged down by the Leicester City defence that has been struggling defensively all season. Leaked 43 goals in the Premier League and the expected goals against figure of 49.2 shows it could have been even worse, but they have only conceded 1 goal across the last 4 competitive games.
Yeah, this takes so much concentration how they're playing at the minute, Leicester, in terms of dropping off, trying to block and screen. It means when it's wide, you've got to really keep an eye on the runners, and at times Saka's got in behind. Long balls from White.
Tierney's ball in, deflects behind for a corner, and Granit Xhaka, not for the first time, is directing traffic there, and he has been playing in this more advanced role in this 4-1-4-1 formation. Mikel Arteta says sometimes you have to take players out of their comfort zone, open a different door to see how your players will react and how the opposition react as well, and Xhaka certainly enjoying playing in this more advanced role. It's a corner to Arsenal on the near side of the left. Martinelli with the in-swinger towards the near post and guided in brilliantly. It is Thomas Partey who gets there, his second league goal of the season, and Leicester's defensive demons have resurfaced. Yet another goal conceded from a set piece, and Arsenal leads.
Yeah, it's a brilliant ball in. Fantastic on the money. You mentioned they've conceded so many goals from set pieces. Martinelli whips the ball towards the near post. I mean, it looks like Thomas tries to get in front of Partey, but he actually runs too early. Runs past the near post, ahead of it. I mean, to me, he's got to hold his run here. Runs too fast, too quick, too early. Shows a little bit of inexperience, and Partey just holds his run, gets in between him and Pereira, and just guides it home in the near post. I mean, they've had different ways of marking Leicester. They've put players on post, they've gone zonal, they've gone man-to-man. They just can't find the right formula to keep the ball out of the net at set pieces.
The figures are grim. They've conceded league-high 15 goals from free kicks and corners. 12 of them have come from corners. I mean, that's an extraordinary number.
Yeah, I mean, I saw against Brighton, for example, they put 2 players on the post, one near, one far, and actually they cleared it off the line. One attempt, I think it was for, I forget who had the header. So in that regard, it worked. At other times, when you mark man-to-man, you can get blocked off. So it's really difficult. If you don't have all your big, tall defenders fit, you can't play zonally, So then you go, right, okay, I might go man for man, and a bit of a mix. It's been very difficult for Rodgers and Leicester.
Here's James Maddison, who's been very quiet so far. It's with Dewsbury Hall, works it out to the left touchline. Mtch trying a 1-2, and the player who's trying to return the ball to was taken out of the play there. And Arsenal managed to take possession back. Arsenal 1, Leicester 0. Thomas Partey's second league goal of the season. He scored against Villa in October.
Well, it's the small details within all that as well, Kevin, So if Thomas is meant to be marking Partey and he's going man for man, he went round one side of him, but he just ran too far ahead of Partey, and that is all it needs. Cause it just centimetres over your head, and it means he's got a free header.
Ball back with Kasper Schmeichel, who clears rather timidly, I have to say. He was possibly looking for Ricardo Pereira, but didn't work out. And then Xhaka, with a miscommunication with Martinelli, he played the ball to where Martinelli had darted from, and the ball goes out for a goal kick. Arsenal 14 points better off than they were at this stage of last season. Leicester 16 points worse off, and they were third at that point. But as we said pre-kickoff, David, they've kind of set the bar unnaturally high for themselves.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't set it unnaturally high 2 seasons in a row. That's not luck, is it? That is the quality of your team, and I do think that they've been hamstrung by probably hamstring injuries, more or less, and everything else. You know, Evans being out, Fofana being out, they got no pace. You know, Vardy, when he's been out, indeed, the injuries in the middle of the park. You know, Chowdhury playing centre half. We can go on. You know, they've had so many the full-back areas. You know, but I guess it's given the likes of Thomas, Dewsbury Hall that opportunity as well.
Mikel Arteta was glowing in his praise of Brendan Rodgers and the work that he's done. Here's Martinelli. He's got there ahead of Ricardo Pereira, but he's all on his own, trying to get into the area. And the players whistled dead. The flag went up, but it was poor defending from Ricardo Pereira, who didn't know that flag was going to go up.
Yeah, but he is offside. I mean, a foot race, a 50-yard one, I think Martinelli might just have a bit more than him. When it's 15, 20-yard burst, I think he'll be okay, Pereira, but a little bit bigger, he is quick. I mean, him and Saka are flying machines out wide.
It's a team that likes to attack with pace, but with ingenuity as well. Such quality with Saka and Smith Rowe, and as David already mentioned, Ødegaard, who is a player who sees the game differently to a lot of others. Here's Ricardo Pereira taking possession in the right-back zone. Foul on James Maddison there, right in front of Mikel Arteta, who looked as though he was going to join in. Well, left back there for Arsenal.
He did join in. If you go back to the Watford game, ball went out of play, picked it up, threw it to Bukayo Saka, who threw it down the line, crossed in, and they scored. So that ended up being a winning goal. So yeah, I guess that's at times why he never sits down, right?
You can't work with Pep Guardiola for as long as he did,
no,
and not pick up a bit of that Pep energy. That's why these guys are so thin, you see, David. That's why it didn't work for me. Maybe I need to take that up. Perpetual movement. Maybe that'll let me shift a few pounds. Here is Thomas working in infield to the long-haired Soyuncu, and that's a bit wayward for Amati, who had to suddenly race back under pressure from Lacazette, but calmed down by James Maddison, who just rolls it gently back to his goalkeeper, Kasper Schmeichel. 16th minute of play in North London. Arsenal 1, Leicester 0. Thomas Partey with the goal in the 11th minute. Yet another goal conceded by Leicester at a set piece. Leicester have been struggling on the road. They've lost 6 of their last 12 Premier League away games. They've only won 3. Their 2-0 win at Burnley last time out ended a 4-match losing streak on the road in the Premier League.
Well, they don't have Vardy, don't have Ndidi. You know, if you look through the spine of the team, I mean, Ndidi's been massive for them in a physical sense and metaphorical as well. You know, he's big, 6 foot plus. Yeah. You know, you got little Mendy up against the likes of Xhaka in there. If you had Mendy, it'd be a little bit different. And at set pieces, that height is really important. So they are missing that today.
Lacazette again putting Amati under pressure. Amati, who has been playing out of position really at centre back. He's a central midfielder by trade, although he has slotted into that position pretty well. Moved ahead of the likes of Yannick Vestergaard, who is a genuine centre-back. Johnny Evans in and out of the team. He's injured again at the moment and have really missed his experience. It's neatly chested down by Tierney, just in front of his own penalty area. Played forward by the orange-clad Aaron Ramsdale, who has barely been involved so far. It's been one-way traffic in North London, and here goes Ødegaard. Options left and right. Finds Saka, coming in off the right touchline onto that left foot. Plays the ball for Cedric, cuts it back. Lacazette, back to Saka. Now Xhaka with the shot, that's charged down. Lays it off Xhaka. Can they get the shot away? Second time around they can, and Partey hits the crossbar. With Schmeichel beaten. Great pressure from Arsenal. But can they get the second goal? Ødegaard's lost it, comes to Partey. 1-2 on the edge of the area, and that's swept away by Thomas. And Leicester are on the ropes here and taking punishment. 18 minutes gone, Arsenal 1, Leicester 0. Space for Martinelli, coming in off the left touchline. Arsenal purring at the moment. Here is Xhaka, space for the left foot shot. That's charged down by Nampalys Mendy, who has gone down, poleaxed by the sheer violence of that strike from Granit Xhaka. and Arsenal put the ball out.
Well, I tell you, that was fabulous football. It started with Ramsdale playing out, punching it into midfield. Now Gabriel into Xhaka in the middle of the park. They go from one end of the pitch to the other. Fabulous. Eventually Cedric on the overlap, and then Partey with the curler. Look, destined for the top corner. Just came off the underside of the bar. That was absolutely brilliant football.
And he knew exactly what he was doing there, Partey, just trying to lift that gently into the top corner. Didn't thrash at it.
I thought it came off the bar. It was actually the post, wasn't it?
He's not a regular goal scorer by any stretch of the imagination. He has had success against Leicester a few years ago on a big stage. He was part of the Atletico Madrid team that finally beat the Foxes in the quarter-finals of the Champions League in the season after they had that remarkable Premier League title win.
I mean, one thing you would say as well about Arteta, he's made big managerial decisions in terms of getting rid of certain players, but he's also made big ones in terms of those he's kept. You know, look at Granit Xhaka. You know, look at Partey. He came back from AFCON. Did he get sent off next game?
Yeah, so they are guys that have had problems in terms of red cards. I mean, Xhaka has had 5 red cards as an Arsenal player now.
But also the relationship, you know, Xhaka's had with the fans. But, you know, Mikel Arteta has stood firm on that in terms of saying, no, you know, he's a big part of what we're doing here. So that's big managerial calls as well, right? Retaining those players or making tough decisions against maybe what fans would want. Getting rid of Aubameyang might be an easy one, right? Because maybe the fans think all the same and wages, so for the club it's the best thing. But
well, look, when he started scoring goals at Barcelona, people started to wonder.
Yeah.
That sort of darting field from Saka, who's been electrifying so far. It's a brilliant run by Saka, goes down. Referee has a look and says no penalty. Ødegaard keeping the pressure on, finds Martinelli, left corner of the penalty area, onto his right foot, gets the shot away, and Schmeichel able to fall on it down low to his right and make the save. 20 minutes gone, Arsenal 1, Leicester 0, but Arsenal are dominant.
Yeah, and Saka is dominant on Thomas. He gets too tight again. I mean, he's got to learn, Thomas. He can't get that close to Saka because his ball manipulation is so good. He can twist and turn, go both ways, and he's quicker than Thomas too. So he's got to learn fast. He's got to give himself a couple of yards.
Worth bearing in mind that Arsenal lost their first 3 Premier League games of this season. They were bottom in September. Here is Dewsbury Hall on the charge for Leicester, who've barely been in the Arsenal half so far. Ricardo Pereira works the ball in field to Norpalis Mendy, who's had a persistent groin injury that's kept him out pretty much the whole season. Made his comeback recently, and this is his first Premier League start of the season, and he works it square to Maddison. He was heavily linked with a move to Arsenal a couple of times earlier in his career. Nods it forward looking for Thomas. Thomas jams it in field to the edge of the area for Harvey Barnes, who have barely mentioned so far, and the cross from Thomas is too close to Ramsdale in short sleeves as always, and he clasps the ball at the near post. He's got one of the best statistical records in the league, Aaron Ramsdale. If you look at something they call post-shot XG, which is basically our goalkeeper saving the shots they're supposed to save and doing a bit more than that, here's a figure of plus 3.7 XG, which is one of the best in the whole league. And I have to say, David, I have to hold my hands up, he's surprised me by how good he's been. Yeah,
he's been excellent. He's got the personality. I think he's got a character about him, not afraid to show that character either. I think that's important, you know. And but he's got a terrible goalkeeping kit, that bright orange.
Well, he can't do much about that, truth be told. He can't turn up in his own gear.
No, I think he'd probably give it a good go if he could. He's one of them.
Here's another new recruit for Arsenal, Ben White, bringing the ball out from the back, rolls it to Lacazette, playing with his back towards goal, as so often. He does an important role for the team. He hasn't scored in his last 9 games in all competitions, his worst run since February 2020. But he's a facilitator these days as much as anything.
Yeah, I guess he's Arsenal version of Bobby Firmino, you know, for Liverpool. But he also, I don't think, gets enough of the ball that he could do, you know, being released a lot earlier.
Forward by Dewsbury Hall, and that's a good ball. Harvey Barnes in the area, and he tried to just lift it over Ramsdale, and for the first time Aaron Ramsdale has to make a meaningful save, and Barnes was found brilliantly by Dewsbury Hall.
Yeah, lovely ball. Dewsbury Hall just floated this over the top of Cedric. Times his run perfectly, Barnes. I think that's a bit of a mismatch as well. Barnes against Cedric. If he gets the ball enough, Harvey Barnes, he is quicker than him, that's for sure.
Is it a bad first touch from Barnes?
I think possibly. I mean, he hasn't seen a lot of the ball. If he'd have taken that down with a firmer touch, his second one would have been a lot easier for his finish. It wouldn't have been such an acute angle.
Talked about Leicester's defensive deficiencies at set plays. Conversely, Arsenal, the only team in the Premier League who haven't yet conceded from a corner. Here comes the Leicester corner, fisted away by Aaron Ramsdale. He got really good distance on that, the Arsenal goalkeeper. Fans have really taken to him here. Here is Mendy out to the far side for Dewsbury Hall. Leicester trying to recycle the play. It's all a bit laborious at the moment. They're just knocking the ball around the defensive line, and Arsenal have been given time and space to get their shape. Thanks to 4. Here is Mendy again, just to the left of the centre circle for Leicester City. It's all a bit slow, David.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's nothing wrong with that because they need a spell in possession. You know, they haven't had it for a lot, so Arsenal had a blistering opening 20-plus minutes, so nothing wrong with trying to retain it for a spell and work their way back into the game.
Here is Harvey Barnes. Can be so dangerous down the left. Dewsbury Hall. Low ball across the 6-yard box. Spilled by Ramsdale. Maddison trying to tiptoe through the challenges. Very important interception there from Ben White. Otherwise it might have been 1-1. Here goes Ødegaard at the other end, and it's suddenly a 4-on-3. Martin Ødegaard plays it to Martinelli just inside the area. Martinelli's shot, and he rushed it, and it was blocked by Martin. He didn't make best use of that. No. Gabriel Martinelli.
Too obvious what he was trying to do there. Get it onto his right foot and bend it into the far corner. What a tackle from Ben White. It looked like maybe Maddison could have pulled the trigger earlier, tried to sort of dance his way through and create a perfect opportunity. Just let fly. Good defending though from Ben White.
Great game in North London. Arsenal 1, Leicester 0. 26th minute here on Premier League Live. All is with Bukayo Saka, who had the guts to take a penalty for England in the European Championship final. It didn't work out for him. One of the players who missed, and he sadly, predictably, got plenty of abuse for that. But he's vowed not to let that negativity break him. Said he knew instantly the treatment he was going to receive, but says that love always wins, and he's a very hard man not to like. He's an extraordinary young character.
Absolutely is. Back to this chance again. Maddison cut infield. Ramsdale did well, didn't he, to come out and try and get something on the cross. Palmed it back into the danger, and to me Maddison's just got to try and get a shot off there.
Here is Barnes, tight to the left touchline, taking on Cedric. As David Connolly has said, a matchup that Barnes may well enjoy. It's back with Dewsbury Hall.
But did you see just out of shot there? As soon as he looked to take on Cedric, Ben White was already over into that side, covering around, going, go on then, if you try and run him, I'm going to be here.
Helping out his fullback. Here is Thomas getting forwards, and again it's too close to Aaron Ramsdale. He's had a couple of those now. Luke Thomas, who's still only 20, he started 13 of the last 14 Premier League games for the Foxes, a club that he joined at the age of just 7, but he's still got a bit to learn. But he has done remarkably well, Luke Thomas.
Yeah, he has, taking his chance, that's for sure.
Here's Ben White coming over halfway, just rolls the ball to Cedric, tight to the touchline, back to White, who is so comfortable in possession. It's one of the main reasons Arsenal brought him in. Saka now inside right channel, he's terrorising them at the moment. Here's Tierney up from left back, Scotland international. Finds Martinelli, drop of the shoulder to take him onto his right foot, back out onto his left. It's all on the left corner of the area. Low ball towards the edge of the box, and that's hammered away first time by Sunju. Iheanacho trying to protect the ball, but he's isolated there at the moment. Kelechi Iheanacho. It's been tough for the Nigerians to have any kind of impact.
And it's been tough for Martinelli. I mean, he hasn't made the most of all the ball that he's had, in contrast to Saka, who just looks superb.
Great dart from Tierney, down the inside left channel, cuts it back. Ødegaard with the first time ball to Saka, just inside the right edge of the penalty area. His shot's charged down, and the ball will roll to Cedric.
I don't know. Sorry, Kim. I don't think anyone could see the pass that Odegaard did there. The crowd thought he was going to shoot. Instead, he played a pass out of sort of the corner of his eye to Saka. Superb.
He's a master of misdirection. Here is Tierney, left edge of the penalty area, right-footed cross, headed up but not really away by Amati. The clearance by Albrighton's a good one, collected by Xhaka. Man who's closing in on 100 appearances for his country, Granit Xhaka. It's been such an important part of Switzerland's progress in international football in recent years. Is Odegaard, captain of Norway. Reverse ball to Lacazette. Right foot shot from Lacazette. Why not? 25 yards out, the ball skimmed along the turf, and Schmeichel able to make the save.
Yeah, it's got to be something special for me. It's a good 25 plus yards out, almost straight down the throat of Schmeichel. Pass into him though from Odegaard again. He looked to play a safe, square pass, instead fizzed it through the midfield. The players just stopped here for a moment.
And Gabriel is down, and a yellow card is shown to Kelechi Iheanacho, and one imagines that was for use of an elbow. Iheanacho pleading his case and saying that he didn't do anything wrong. And until we see it on our monitors, I don't think we'll really know, but it's a stray arm, David.
There's nothing in that for me. I don't think Iheanacho meant anything, but I guess that's not the point. He did make contact, but
it's careless rather than malicious, which is why you'd show a yellow card, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I mean, we had one in the game I was at earlier where it wasn't careless, it was deliberate. A player raised his arm for QPR in the face of another player, and it should have been a red, but it was only a yellow. No VAR, but maybe if there was in that game, it would have been a straight red, but this one I think it's the right call.
Iheanacho and Gabriel still exchanging things that are probably far from pleasantries, I would think. Arsenal's only defeats here in the league against Chelsea and Manchester City. They've lost just 5 of their last 26 home games in the top division. Have been incredibly strong at home this season. As I say, 9 wins out of 11 at home, if you exclude their games against teams in the top 3. Now they've lost to Chelsea, lost to Man City. Going to play Liverpool very, very soon in this stadium. That's going to be a real test, isn't it, in midweek for them?
Oh yeah, make no mistake. But the form they're in.
The Liverpool team is still very much chasing the Premier League title, just 3 points behind Manchester City. Trying to go the long way around there, Kieran Tierney. That's a game you can hear live on Premier League Live, by the way, on Monday. Crystal Palace against Manchester City. Russell Hargreaves and Paul Mortimer be the commentators for that one that kicks off at 8 o'clock UK time. And that isn't the easiest of games for City against a Palace team that is probably safe from relegation now.
I'm just looking at the way Arsenal play down their left-hand side. I mean, when Kieran Tierney gets it, you know, if Pereira knows, 90% of the time he's going to take me down the line. So he adjusts, shows him down the line, and in a foot race, you know, he's okay. Whenever Martinelli gets it, he thinks he's just coming in field, you know. So it's been quite predictable for him. It's been easy, and I think both of them could do with mixing their game up, you know, just to try and get the better of Pereira.
We have seen a lot of Martinelli in the opening 32 minutes. Arsenal 1, Leicester 0. Thomas Partey's near post header from a corner. The difference at the moment, Leicester, as has so often been the case this season, undone at a set play. Here is Harvey Barnes, the number 7, coming in field from that left touchline. Dewsbury Hall on the overlap, but the attempted 1-2 breaks down, and Cedric comes across to deal with the danger, and that was a very risky clearance. He's giving it straight to Barnes. Barnes trying to trick his way beyond his man, and Partey came back to help, but that was pretty awful defending from Cedric.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I guess he was, I don't know whether he was unsure, shall I just clear this, or shall I, you know, play the Arsenal way and play my way out? In the end, he got caught between the two.
Barnes with a little 1-2 between him and Iheanacho, but the return pass went astray. White clears up to Bukayo Saka.
See, he clears, Kevin, but it's a pass, right? And now they're out, breaking at Leicester's backline. Oh, if that was a better ball. And that comes down to the philosophy of the coach, right? And you could see when Cedric was going to clear that ball, maybe a different one, different coach might have banged that 50 yards clear. Instead, he tries to play through, and that's the difference. Because if you do try and play through, you might end up going and score a goal, and that comes from the manager.
It's not just how they play, it's who they select as well. Arsenal have the youngest average age when it comes to starting 11s this season. It's the only one that has an average of under 25, and going into this weekend they've named the 16 youngest starting 11s in the Premier League, which tells you a lot. There's an element of a little bit less pressure on the coach in that regard,
but also on the players, right? A bit fearless, haven't been scarred so much, things going wrong, you maybe don't play as safe as you would do when you're a bit older and had a few mistakes and you're worried about criticism.
Space here for Luke Thomas. Leicester trying to play their way into this game, but it's been something of a struggle for them. Aaron Ramsdale having to make a save from Harvey Barnes, but apart from that, he's not had much to do, the Arsenal goalkeeper. But here's Ricardo Pereira, lovely control on the right hand side, but Martinelli tracking back really well to get there and blocks the cross and gets a round of applause from the home fans. Here's Albright dropping the shoulder. He's got Ricardo Pereira with him on the Leicester right. Little 1-2, but Pereira was blocked off cleverly there by Tierney, and Arsenal eventually do knock the ball behind for a corner.
Well, they nearly made a right miss of that. Gabriel just hoping the ball would run out of play without touching it.
It's going to be a corner to Leicester City, who are looking to win 3 consecutive Premier League games for the first time since January 2021, which is remarkable really for a team that's had such consistency in the last couple of seasons. It's going to be Albright to take. Plays it short along the floor, gets it back from Dewsbury Hall, tries to whip it, and it's blocked by Lacazette, and that's going to be another corner to Leicester. 10 minutes to half time. Arsenal 1, Leicester 0 on Premier League Live.
Yeah, I like the idea in terms of coming short, but it's just a return ball from Dewsbury Hall was a poor one.
Here they go again, changing the angle of attack. Albright's cross, left-footed, brilliant ball in, wonderful save by Ramsdale. How on earth has he clawed that ball away? The ball in was magnificent, the header was firm, and Ramsdale with the save.
Yeah, Albrighton with a dink ball to the back post. Terrific header from Harvey Barnes, glanced towards the far post, but what a strong hand that is from Ramsdale. Didn't have a long time to react to that. Maybe if it was slightly more in the corner would have been even more of a test, but nonetheless, terrific save.
It's the kind of thing he's been doing all season long. Ramsdale, and Brendan Rodgers, I can tell you, on the edge of his technical area, when he saw that save, simply said wow. Even he was amazed that Ramsdale had got there. Here comes the corner. Ramsdale comes, Ramsdale gets. He is a man on terrific form. You've got to think that with the World Cup not too far away for England, he's got to be part of that equation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And great distribution. You know, he came and claimed that cross and then immediately launched the ball 50-60 yards, maybe even more, up to Saka. Just touch let him down, but counter-attacking, he can distribute, he can save. He's not the biggest, is he? You know, but
makes up for it with the spring, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, one of the best goalkeepers I played with, if not the best. Shay Gibbon wasn't, you know, he was sort of 6'1", maybe.
Maybe not even that, actually.
Maybe, yeah, maybe just 6 foot.
He made himself look a lot bigger than that with the shots he was able to get to. Terrific Premier League goalkeeper. Headed forward by Luke Thomas. Leicester thought they'd equalise, but they were denied by a world-class save from Aaron Ramsdale, who has made more saves than any other goalkeeper in the Premier League since the start of the 2019-20 season. He had a lot of work to do when he was at Sheffield United. Here is Albright, feeds it infield to Maddison. 37 minutes gone, Arsenal 1, Leicester 0. Goal from Thomas Partey early on from a set piece. Leicester still in this, even though they've been comfortably outshot 9-2. They've actually had more of the ball than Arsenal, but that's not hugely unusual for Arsenal. They average only 51.7% possession. And that is actually the lowest figure for Arsenal since Opta started collecting that data, so it is a big shift in terms of what Mikel Arteta's trying to do. Why is that, David? Why would Arsenal be happy not to have so much of the ball?
Well, I think, one thing he wants to make him do initially would be harder to beat, harder to break down, have a bit of steel about them, which has often been labelled that they don't. Too soft.
Here's Ricardo Pereira up from right back, feeds it infield to Maddison, wearing number 10. Very much the man who pulls the strings for Leicester City. Albrighton again, trying that little 1-2. Here's Maddison, wide on the right-hand side. He's got Xhaka for company. Xhaka standing up well. He did a good job there, the Swiss. And here is Nombalis Mendy. Back out to Maddison. Maddison, low ball. That was clever. Good disguise. Finding Mtch. Now Amati up from the back. He guns it to the right-hand side of Ricardo Pereira. Now Maddison to the far post. It was a really dangerous ball, and Cedric had to react, and he just nods that ball behind for a corner.
Yeah, it was a really, really good ball in, but there's only Mtch, maybe Barnes at the back post. That is it. You'd like to see Leicester maybe gambling, putting another player or two in the box.
Don't really have many players who get goals. Dewsbury Hall is yet to score in the Premier League. Mendy hasn't scored, but hasn't barely played, but he's not a regular scorer. Maddison has. Curling corner towards the far post. The header won by Thomas over the head of Barnes, and Arsenal scramble that one clear as we move towards the 40-minute mark at the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Leicester 0. Here is Albrighton. His cross is deflected. It's awkward, and it's just hammered away by Arsenal. Here comes Ricardo Pereira, just inside his own half for Leicester City. Leicester team that's finished 5th in each of the last 2 seasons in the Premier League, won the FA Cup last term, won the Community Shield this season. Of course, they won the Premier League title back in 2016, one of the biggest sporting upsets the world's ever seen. And they reached the Champions League quarter-finals in 2017. Made waves around the world, that Premier League title success. Here is Luke Thomas, now Soyuncu, just in front of his own penalty area. Not the best of cross-field passes, to be truthful. Ricardo Pereira had to scamper back and get it. Leicester have settled when you bear in mind that when Partey hit the bar, or hit the frame of the goal at least, it looked as though they might be going under.
Yeah, that's right. Settled down a little bit. I guess haven't really fashioned that much in terms of clear goal scoring opportunities. Had a lot of the ball in their own half, which Arsenal are happy for them to have. It's possession in dangerous areas that I think they need to get a bit more of.
Here is Albrighton, tied to the right touchline. Former Aston Villa player Mark Albrighton. He's been in the Premier League a long time. Actually signed from Villa back in 2014, but he's been a Premier League player since 2009. Here is Barnes, inside left channel, midway inside the Arsenal half. He's got Partey for company. Feeds it infield to Dewsbury Hall, but he's surrounded suddenly by red shirts, and Arsenal look to counter. Lacazette loses it rather clumsily. And it was Albrighton who nicked it off him, and then Lacazette tripped him. And that's going to be, at very least, a free kick to Leicester. And the referee just coming across to have a word.
Yeah, I mean, Keenan Dewsbury Hall a couple of times just lost possession in little tight areas. They were lucky they won it back because Lacazette was a little bit loose, retaining the ball. But nonetheless, Dewsbury Hall, can he do a bit more? It's important, those roles, those attacking midfield roles, as you said, in terms of if you don't have that many goal scorers, when you play with attacking mids, they've got to be amongst the goals.
James Maddison on the ball. He's got 7 goals this season in the Premier League. 12 goals in all competitions. He's got 3 in his last couple of games. What will he come up with here? Just talking to Ricardo Pereira, who stood a few paces to his right. Plenty of targets to aim for here for James Maddison, who just flips it into the penalty area. Soyuncu coming in at the back, and he was able to just hook a left foot at it, and he sent the ball floating over the crossbar. It wasn't too far away.
Yeah, I mean, the balls in the box from James Maddison have been superb, to be honest, because, Aaron Ramsdale likes to come for things, but he can't come for this sort of quality. And in the end, he's leaning back. Soyuncu couldn't get a clean contact, seemed to come off his shin in the end. But nonetheless, James Maddison right on the money with his crosses in the box and set-piece deliveries.
As things stand, Arsenal would go 4th in the table tonight, and they'd have 3 games in hand over Manchester United and West Ham, who are immediately below them. So Arsenal would be in an incredibly good position going into the home stretch of the Premier League season. They've not played in the Champions League since 2017. They don't remember that occasion very fondly. They lost the home leg 5-1 to Bayern. They lost the away leg 5-1 to Bayern. Here is Maddison, plays it across the centre circle for Leicester City, who are still in this. Only 1-0 down at the Emirates against an Arsenal team that started incredibly well. Here's the goal scorer, Thomas Partey. Learnt the defensive side of the game under Diego Simeone for several seasons at Atletico Madrid. Here is Gabriel just in front of his own penalty area for Arsenal. Arsenal have been helped by the fact this is their first season without European football since 1996. They've had 3 weeks to prepare for games, whereas a lot of teams have had midweek commitments. Saka just clipped there, midway inside his own half for Arsenal. We're in the final minute of the first half. David Connolly, what have you made of the game so far?
Yeah, it's been a really good one. I think everyone was looking forward to this as a potential explosive game. It hasn't quite been exactly like that, but they've had moments, certainly, and Arsenal at times have looked really good. They've cut through Leicester.
I think it will annoy Brendan Rodgers that the goal came from a set play, because if you get sliced apart by Arsenal, you can kind of hold your hands up and accept that, but gave the goal away in a very dozy fashion. Here is Ødegaard down the right-hand side, drops the shoulder and tries to just fire that towards Xhaka, but it hit Saka on the heel, and the attack broke down, and then Partey, before Leicester could even think about breaking, thunders into the challenge, and the ball goes out of play.
They've done that well a couple of times to Arsenal when they've lost it, counter press to try and win it back. So I'm sure the home fans will be happy here. At times the football's been fabulous. Maybe haven't quite sustained it. That'll be the only question I think that Mikel might have to answer about.
Been in such good form in front of goal. They've got 42 Premier League goals this season. 29 of those have come in the last 13 and a half games. Xhaka at Tierney, wide on the left-hand side, crosses deflected, and that could take it behind for a corner. Thomas trying to keep the ball in play, and he's done that. He's done really well, actually, and it flicked off Saka as he tried to make the challenge, so it will be a throw to Leicester City in their left-back zone. Leicester have a big game against Rennes on Thursday in the Europa Conference League, trying to protect that 2-0 advantage. Then they face Brentford next in the Premier League. Arsenal up against Liverpool here on Wednesday. Massive game, that one, in terms of the title race and the battle for the top 4, as Anthony Taylor blows his whistle, and it's Arsenal who lead at half-time. Thomas Partey with the only goal so far on 11 minutes. A free header at the near posts. Arsenal came very close to doubling their advantage when Partey curled a shot onto the post with the goalkeeper beaten, but Leicester have played their way back into the contest since, and Aaron Ramsdale had to make a world-class save to deny Harvey Barnes. Half-time, it's Arsenal 1, Leicester 0. You're listening to Premier League Live.
From the terraces to the touchline, if you're the ultimate football fan, you need to subscribe to the Game Day podcast from TalkSport.
Oh yes! He's done it again!
It's the twice-weekly Premier League roundup that brings you big-name guests, in-depth previews and tough-tackling analysis from the world's biggest football league.
Oh, what a finish! He's beaten the keeper to it!
Feel the might of the top flight. Subscribe now to the Game Day podcast. Available on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Get bowled over with Following On, the fast-paced cricket podcast from TalkSport that'll hit you for 6. It's a pitch-perfect delivery of first-class cricket news.
And that's a beautiful straight drive.
Boasting an impressive strike rate of exclusive big-name guests.
Oh, you little ripper!
And fielding fierce fan reaction.
Oh, that might be out.
Don't get caught out. Subscribe now to the Following On podcast. Available on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
They face bitter prejudice.
What they had to endure was horrific.
They battled injustice.
Basically, they threw the rule book away.
But their talent was inextinguishable, and they rose to become sporting icons that etched their legacy on the history of English football.
What a strike! What a finish!
Coming in from the cold is an exclusive 6-part documentary that chronicles the struggles and the triumphs of black footballers in the English game. Join Jessica Crichton as she uncovers the untold stories and hears firsthand from a host of superstar names, including John Barnes, Viv Anderson, Luther Blissett, Andy Cole, Rachel Yankee, John Fashanu, and many more.
These guys went through it all, and they are true inspiration.
Coming in from the cold, the history of black footballers in the English game. Listen to the full series now, available on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Tom Rennie here to tell you about a new soccer podcast called Week in the Tackle with me and Brian Dunseth.
That's right, Tom. Well, join us for new episodes every Monday as we argue about all the top soccer stories we think are worth tackling.
Plus, we'll welcome the occasional guest to join in on the debate.
Strong opinions, big stories, no agenda.
Week in the Tackle, available on Mondays from wherever you get your podcasts.
If it's a big story in soccer, we'll tackle it.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the Talk Sport Hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
An improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport Hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Premier League Live. It is Arsenal 1, Leicester City 0 at half-time. Here's how you heard the first half. Martinelli with the in-swinger towards the near post and guided in brilliantly. It is Thomas Partey who gets there, his second league goal of the season, and Leicester's defensive demons have resurfaced. Yet another goal conceded from a set piece, and Arsenal leads.
Yeah, it's a brilliant ball in.
Reverse ball to Lacazette, right foot shot from Lacazette, why not? 25 yards out, the ball skimmed along the turf, and Schmeichel able to make the save.
Yeah, it's got to be something special for me. It's a good 25 plus yards out, almost straight down the throat of Schmeichel.
Here they go again, changing the angle of attack. Albrighton's cross left footed, brilliant ball in, wonderful save by Ramsdale. How on earth has he clawed that ball away? The ball in was magnificent, the header was firm, and Ramsdale with the save.
Yeah, Albrighton with a dink ball to the back post. Terrific header from Harvey Barnes, glanced towards the far post, but what a strong hand that is from Ramsdale.
Good game so far. As things stand, Arsenal going fourth in the Premier League this evening. They'll move above Manchester United and West Ham. The former Leicester striker David Connolly is alongside me for this one. David, Arsenal started ever so well, but Leicester will be desperately disappointed with the goal they conceded.
Yeah, they certainly will, because it's the same familiar sort of weakness, defensive frailties that have haunted them for most of this season. Set piece defending. I think it's Luke Thomas here that just, it's the minor details that can cost you, and he's gone with the runner from Partey, and it's not a clear matchup because Thomas is smaller than Partey. So what they've done is they then put their bigger players in the zones, Leicester, and they have smaller players who man mark. And what they hope is the ball comes to his zone, they head it clear. If it doesn't, and it comes into somewhere where someone's man-marked, if you get a run on that man-marker, as Partey did, and maybe there's a gap between the zones, that means you're a little bit vulnerable. And that's cost them goals this year, and it's cost them another one here. It's a minor detail, but sometimes that can be the difference.
At that stage, it looked as though Arsenal were going to go on and win this fairly comfortably. Of course, they still may well do, but Leicester hung in there.
Yeah, they did, and grew into the game, built their attacks, had a spell. You mentioned about the possession, and I understand that at times it might look like they're not going anywhere, but when you haven't had the ball and you've been under the cosh for 20-25 minutes, it's good to just settle down and enjoy it, and that builds your confidence. And they did grow into the game. They had a bit more pressure in the final third. They had a couple of corners, balls in the box. Harvey Barnes had that opportunity. They drew the save from Aaron Ramsdale. So, I'm sure Brendan Rodgers will draw comfort from that, but also know that the two wide men are quick, and Saka has been superb. If Arsenal keep getting the ball to Saka, then Leicester have a problem. It's just stopping that.
If you're going to have success, you probably need a good goalkeeper, and Arsenal have certainly got one of those, Aaron Ramsdale, with a magnificent save to deny Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, I mean, they worked the corner well in terms of taking it short, Leicester, and changing the angle. All Brighton with a lovely little dink ball to the back post. Harvey Barnes got up well, glancing header. Wasn't maybe as much in the corner as it could have been, but nonetheless, really good, strong hand from Ramsdale, and terrific save to palm it over the bar.
Even Brendan Rodgers, the Leicester boss, said wow when he saw that Ramsdale had made that save. Got a big game coming up on Monday Night Football for you, by the way. It's Crystal Palace against Manchester City. That one at 8 o'clock in the evening, UK time. Russell Hargreaves and Paul Mortimer will be your commentators for that one. Manchester City and Liverpool have played the same number of games, and Liverpool are only 3 points behind City with a better goal difference. Let's hear from the Manchester City boss, Pep Guardiola.
Seeing the run that the Crystal Palace have right now, just one loss in the last 8 games in all competitions, and the physicality they have, the well organization they have, the quality up front, especially with Saha, and when they defend it's so difficult to break down. Good counter-attack. So Selhurst Park is always difficult place to go. It's a final for us, so we know it, and hopefully we can prepare Saturday and Sunday well to arrive on Monday in a good shape to face the opponent.
David, Pep Guardiola always talks up potential opponents as if they're vintage Barcelona. We know that. But he's actually right about Crystal Palace, because they are playing some good stuff at the moment. And of all of the teams in the Premier League, they've had probably the biggest stylistic shift, haven't they, this season?
Yeah, they have. I think a lot of the issues that they had to solve, they did in the summer. They brought in 2 good centre-halves. Gurhey and Anderson, I think, are formidable too in the middle of the park. They've got a decent goalkeeper. They're strong in the middle of midfield as well. Conor Gallagher, for example, has been an excellent. They needed goals from midfield. They needed to get Chiati out of that back line. They needed centre-halves. They've done that. And he's doing very, very well. The wingers have done well. Elise's done well. Eze's back fit. So I think, look, he's often very complimentary, isn't he, Pep, about his opponent and opposition manager, etc. But Palace do have their limitations, and you'd expect City to have more than enough to beat them.
There was a point a few weeks ago when City were 14 points clear of Liverpool, and it looked as though we weren't going to get a title race. Just how well have Liverpool done to actually make this a real scrap for the title? Because they won at Brighton and they won well yesterday. They just keep on producing these impressive wins.
Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, they had the games. They've got the Man City one coming up, haven't they, in April?
In April, yeah.
Yeah, so that is going to be pivotal, and they'll keep grinding it out. I think Jurgen Klopp has managed his squad really, really well, and they are absolutely in the hunt for it. I don't know if Mo Salah, I don't know if he's okay or not, but I was reading the other day he's played the 14th most minutes in football, European or whatever. That's
including
a lot.
Including that African Cup of Nations
4
run
games,
all the way.
Yeah, 4 extra time games, and at some point do you think, can he have a breather? But he probably can't, because they need to close that gap. So staying fit is vital for Liverpool, that he stays fit. Luis Diaz has come in and had a great impact. So the signing of Luis Diaz has been sensational, you got to say, because City didn't make any. Liverpool strengthened. He's come in, he's hit the ground running, no adaptation really needed, and he has really supplemented that front line.
So some critical games coming up in the title race for you here on Premier League Live. We've got that trip to Crystal Palace for Manchester City, and of course Arsenal taking on Liverpool in just a few days' time. There are going to be some twists and turns in the race for the Premier League title. The champion City on 69 points, Liverpool on 66. You're listening to Premier League Live.
got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the Talk Sport Hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
An improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport Hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Talk Sport. 20 years old and still not able to make a cup of tea.
That's a great starting point, I think. Excuse me.
With bitter experience comes great responsibility.
Let's go to Cumbria and Fraser. Fraser, good morning. Hello. Fraser, get out of that lane.
The nation's first and best commercial sports radio station.
Live, lubricated and legendary.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
This is rewarding mediocrity.
No, it's not. It's the exact opposite.
Two towering giants of sports media.
He's got COVID-19. He's got Newcastle wanting to sue him. He's got broadcasters pulling money out of deals left, right and centre. You wouldn't want to fly with this guy, would you?
Jim White and Simon Jordan.
Double trouble, daily drama and searing debate.
Continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future, 0.
Excess.
I wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me, I would pee.
And extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of Talk Sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
If you haven't bought, owned, managed, sold a player, managed a football club, sat in a boardroom, sat in a dressing room, what exactly do you know?
100% engagement.
The Football League is a league which is a busted flush. You're obsessed with that subject, you do know that.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. High Octane Radio. Continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
The Women's Football Weekly Podcast.
With Faye Carruthers. All the action, excitement and drama from across the entire women's game.
Cleared off the line by Steph Horton.
Including the Women's Super League.
Ellen White is there to tap it in.
The UEFA Women's Champions League.
Lana Cleland striking from outside the penalty area.
And the Euro 2021 qualifiers.
On the edge of the area to Emsley. And Emsley's going to finish it off.
Plus, all the home nations international friendlies.
Lucy Bronze with the strike from the edge of the penalty area.
World-beating big match conversation.
There's Jodie Taylor.
Subscribe now to the Women's Football Weekly Podcast on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Arsenal against Leicester City from Emirates Stadium. I'm your host and match commentator Kevin Hatchard. Alongside me, the former Leicester City striker David Connolly. This is Premier League Live. So Arsenal 1-0 up against Leicester after a very intriguing and fast-paced first half. Arsenal, if they hang on to this result, would move on to 51 points from 26 games. They'd be a point ahead of Manchester United, who beat Tottenham on Saturday. They'd be 3 ahead of West Ham, who beat Aston Villa 2-1 earlier today. Elsewhere, there were some really intriguing results near the bottom. Watford won 2-1 at Southampton. Leeds got their first points under Jesse Marsch. They beat Norwich by 2-1, and Everton were beaten at home by Wolves. Chelsea also managed to get all 3 points against Newcastle, a late Kai Havertz winner for them. Leicester City just striding out onto the pristine Emirates turf. David Connolly alongside me. What have they got to do to turn this game in their favour?
Well, I'm sure Brendan Rodgers would have been saying that, really good response from going a goal down. They hung in there, had a good spell in possession, created a little bit, drew that excellent save from Aaron Ramsdale. So, 1-0, he'll know they're very much in this game.
Mikel Arteta ahead of this game. The Arsenal manager said football is so unpredictable, anything can happen. We must just focus on winning our games and performing well. Said to be with the top teams, you've got to win consistently and convincingly. We've got to win more than 4 games in a row. There are some teams that win 10, 12 or even 18 games in a row. He's clearly thinking of his old employers Manchester City with that statement. That is the bar, isn't it, that I guess Arsenal are aiming for?
That is a very, very high bar. I think certainly if they can get back to being top 4, challenging for the top 4 Champions League football, that is where Arsenal want to be and should be.
That's the start. That's the next step. Leicester get us back underway in their aquamarine tops and dark blue shorts, playing from right to left. Arsenal from left to right in their iconic red and white shirts and white shorts. Give me the two teams, no changes at half-time. Aaron Ramsdale in goal for Arsenal. Kieran Tierney, Gabriel, Ben White and Cedric, the back 4. Thomas Partey, the holding midfielder and the goal scorer this afternoon so far. Ahead of him, Granit Xhaka, Martin Odegaard, with Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli in the wide positions. Alex Lacazette up front. Leicester with Kasper Schmeichel in goal. Luke Thomas, Chalos Soyuncu, Daniel Amati and Ricardo Pereira at the back. A midfield 3 of Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, Nampalys Mendy and James Maddison. And in attack, it's Harvey Barnes, Kelechi Iheanacho and Mark Albrighton. Iheanacho was a rather isolated figure in that first half. Arsenal have won themselves a free kick down this right-hand side. Cedric has moved across to grab the ball with purpose. Leicester have already given up a set-piece goal in this game. And Cedric, the former Southampton fullback who played the Euro 2016 final for Portugal and won against France in that shock victory in France. He's ready to send this ball in. There's a bit of nonsense between Ben White and Ricardo Pereira. Not quite sure what that's all about.
Well, just having a little bit of a tussle in the box here, a bit of ego taking hold. You get your arms off. No, you get your arms off, and vice versa.
All very grown up, of course. It's touched to Saka, inside right channel, and he advances forwards, found Odegaard. Odegaard just flipping the ball into the penalty area, just lifting it like a delicate golf shot, but Leicester able to clear. It's out to Tierney, inside left channel, winding up the left-footed cross, and it was flicked on at the near post by Ben White, and the ball goes behind for the goal kick. You can see what he was trying to do.
Yeah, clever set piece in terms of rolling it to Saka to drive with it at that Leicester back line, who were deep, expecting the ball in the box. When it eventually did come in, I mean, it's probably the one player you don't want the ball to fall to is Ben White.
He hit his standing foot with the flick, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which is the kind of thing I would do if I tried something like that. He is yet to score in the Premier League in his career in the English top flight. Here is Martinelli, tight to the left touchline. Good battle between him and Ricardo Pereira so far this afternoon, and that's a trip by Xhaka on Mendy. Mendy's done okay, considering he hasn't played a lot of football.
Yeah, he has. You're right. I mean, whenever he's been called upon, I think he's done well, but he's just not the same as Ndidi. He's not quite as big, obviously, and sometimes that helps in set-piece situations.
Indeed, one of the best holding midfielders in the league. Here's Saka, who's run into Mendy, who's again made a good challenge, but here's Odegaard, turning in midfield sharply, gets it back from Cedric. Low ball into the D, and that was well seen by James Maddison, who won the ball vitally for his team there. And here's Luke Thomas in his own left-back zone, clearing the ball up the line for Leicester City, who are trying to stay in this one. And they were trying to keep the ball in there, but just went out before it reached Iheanacho. Brendan Rodgers applauds in his technical area, the Leicester manager. He's lost 8 of his 17 Premier League games as a coach against Arsenal. Says his team has learnt some harsh lessons this season about game management, conceded too many late goals, but he feels that they are evolving as a team. Says as a group of players they've always been brilliant but wanting to develop and improve.
Well, there was a ball in the channel there from Thomas, just trying to find Iheanacho in behind, and it was a foot race between him and Gabriel, and again Iheanacho just left his arm on Gabriel, who didn't take too kindly to it. Just raised it towards his face. So those two having a bit of a running battle.
Not quite the same team without Jamie Vardy and his ability to run in behind and cause problems on the counter-attack. He's out with a knee problem. Do have Patson Daka on the bench today, and that feels like a change they might consider if things don't change soon.
Yeah, I mean, I saw I mean, just coming back to it, it's a switch of play here, and the ball was going out of play over Xhaka's head, so he caught the ball. But actually, they've given a free kick as if he caught it on the pitch, and he's pleading his innocence, but not too sure whether it was on or off the pitch.
That's the second time I've seen that in 2 days. Somebody did that in the game I covered in Germany yesterday.
Well, Xhaka might have been watching it.
Yeah, maybe. Well, he is a former Bundesliga player, so maybe that's where he got the idea. He's not going to be pushing Ramsdale hard for a place between the posts for Arsenal, because it was a fairly poor grab, it has to be said. Forward towards Mtch now by Leicester. Barnes was trying to gallop beyond Gabriel, but he stood up strong, the former Lille player, and then a lovely drop of the shoulder. That was brilliant from Ødegaard. He's a joy to watch sometimes. Here's Martinelli, and he's managed to keep the ball in. It's a great run. Martinelli did brilliantly. He tried to find Lacazette. Lacazette has managed to recover the ball. Xhaka's cross, Saka with the shot, and that's punched away by Schmeichel and to safety. Arsenal keeping the pressure on. Saka didn't really catch hold of that shot. It bounced down into the floor, and Schmeichel was able to fist the ball away one-handed.
Well, superb from Ødegaard. A couple of sort of drops of the shoulder and to get away, and then Martinelli brilliant out wide.
Saka with a reverse ball looking for Lacazette, but that's too strong, and all the way through to Kasper Schmeichel.
Yeah, he just skipped it over Pereira, got past Albrighton, and then he faced up Pereira and invited a challenge and lifted it over him. Really smart. That's Messi-esque. Lionel Messi does that, doesn't he? But it just means the defender then can't slide their foot along the ground and get their foot in, so you lift it off the ground. It's a great little skill.
It's an important save from Schmeichel for two reasons. First, it kept the ball out of the net, but also stopped Martinelli getting onto the loose ball, and the Leicester captain had to respond swiftly and smartly. A man who's now started 140 straight games in the Premier League. It's the longest current run in the English top division.
I mean, what are they going to do when they have to replace Schmeichel?
He's a massive character. He's a leader for this group of players. He's been a central part of all of their successes in the last few years. He was absolutely superb in the FA Cup final against Chelsea last season. His team trails here by a goal to nil. Arsenal with the advantage with 52 minutes gone at the Emirates. Brendan Rodgers just having a little debate with the fourth official, Robert Jones. Ball out to the far side in Kieran Tierney, the Scottish international, 30 caps for his country. He's been a big hit since signing from Celtic. Lacazette with his back to goal again. Midway inside his own half, really, but he's happy to do that. Happy to drop that deep to get involved. Here's Martinelli. Out it goes to Xhaka. Xhaka thought about the first time cross, changes his mind, comes back in on his weaker right foot. Martinelli surging beyond Nampalys Mendy, who brings him down, and that's going to be a free kick. And Martinelli has come out like a man possessed and started the second half.
Certainly more direct in this second 45. You've got to say, fabulous football again from Arsenal. Starts with Aaron Ramsdale. He could have gone wide to a centre-half or a full-back. Instead, he punches it straight through the middle of the pitch into Lacazette, sets the ball back, then he goes wide, and then suddenly they've won a free kick just outside the opposition box. Brilliant football.
So what can Arsenal come up with here? Leicester, every time they concede a set piece in their own defensive third, it's a bit of a concern for them. And it looks as though they might be readying a change here.
James Justin.
Perhaps to deal with Martinelli a bit better. It's going to be a free kick wide on the left-hand side. Ødegaard's there for the outswinger, or whatever crazy idea he's cooked up, because he does come up with the unpredictable, and Cedric there for the in-swinger, if that's the way they choose to go. 54 minutes on the watch. It will be Ødegaard, whipped into the near post. Lacazette was there. White with the volley, saved brilliantly by Schmeichel, and then a follow-up effort was cleared off the line. Ben White's volley, amazingly kept out by Schmeichel, who had so little time to react. And he reacted wonderfully well, and Arsenal desperately close to doubling their advantage.
Are they looking at this? They might be looking at this as a possible, they feel there's a possible handball here.
Well, that's what Arsenal are asking. Schmeichel was certainly across there, but who does it hit? Well, it's Partey on the follower, and has it been touched by the fingertips of Chalor Soyuncu? It looks as though it has, you know. So when Schmeichel makes the save, the ball pops up and Partey heads it towards goal, and it's hooked off the line by Luke Thomas. But did Chalor Soyuncu take a bit off the ball by flicking his fingers at it? If he did, A, it's a penalty, and B, he could be in big trouble here.
Well, it does come off the ends or the tips of his fingers. I don't think it's the best contact from Partey anyway. He should just be planting that straight in the middle of the goal. Comes off the side of his head. It was probably going in anyway. But Soyuncu does take a bit more pace, probably helps Thomas clear the ball on the line because of that little intervention from Soyuncu. So
I think that's got to be a penalty, hasn't it, David? He's got his arm way out and he's moving it towards the ball, and the ball does deviate. We're looking at it on our monitor, and there's no question that there's contact between Soyuncu's fingertips and the ball. So Anthony Taylor's going to have two decisions, I think, to make here. Is it going to be a penalty? And what will the punishment be for Soyuncu? Because it looks to me as if he's brushed the ball with his fingertips.
Yeah, I think brushed is probably the right term there. He's going to have a look at it, is he?
So Anthony Taylor will go to the monitor. The Arsenal fans cheer because they know that what that probably means is the award of a penalty, but we will see. Soyuncu doesn't need to do it. Doesn't need to flick his arm out in that way, because Luke Thomas would have cleared it off the line anyway. I know it's instinct, I know you react in those situations. You've been in those situations and I haven't, but it does seem a bit clumsy the way he's moved his hand out.
We have seen the replay about how many times? 12. So if Anthony Taylor's going to have the same volume of replays, he's got to take his time here, make sure he's happy with this call.
Anthony Taylor's had a few looks at this now, a good 7 or 8, and he's trying to work out whether there's a handball and whether it should be a penalty, and then what happens after that. So it is a penalty. That's the first bit. What about the second bit? What will Chalor Soyuncu's punishment be for that handball? Kasper Schmeichel asking the question. But it is going to be a spot kick, we know that. And the referee has reached for the yellow cards and not the reds. So that at least is some respite. They're showing the replay on the big monitor, the Emirates.
Well, I mean, he shakes his head, Soyuncu. I don't know, it's so difficult to know where, as the game's going on, you're following in where your hands may or may not be. Does brush the end of his fingertips.
I think with the current interpretation of the handball law, I think it has to be a penalty, because the hand is away from his body, it's in an unnatural position, he's making a bigger barrier to block the ball. Whether he consciously means that or not. So
I didn't think he could have a red card though, because it's double jeopardy. Was that gone?
No, they have changed it, so that's why the yellow card is shown, and it is going to be Lacazette who steps up. He has not scored in any of his last 9 games. So Kasper Schmeichel has the responsibility of trying to stop this. Lacazette has been performing well without scoring. Alex Lacazette with his 4th Premier League goal of the season, and our Arsenal heading for the top 4 tonight. They lead 2-0.
Well, this is expertly dispatched right in the top corner, but as soon as it's gone in the back of the net, I mean, Kasper Schmeichel has raced towards the referee. I don't know whether he's saying that maybe the run-up from Lacazette had the little stutter and the stop. You're not allowed to stop. Is that what he means? Because I think by the time he takes his kick here, Lacazette, Schmeichel is a good yard or 2 off his line. We'll have to say this again, or maybe there's people inside the box. It's hard to notice, but Schmeichel he's gone mad here. Is it the stop in the run-up?
It's the stutter. I think it's the stutter step he doesn't like, because what you're not allowed to do is stop your run. And there's an argument to say that Lacazette did stop his run there. And so Leicester have been, in a sense, undone again at a set play, because it all came from Ben White finding that space, having the shot that was saved by Schmeichel. Had that not been the case, then Sunji wouldn't have had to react.
Yeah, well, you can go back to the foul as well, you know, in terms of it initially started with the foul being given away, and then the ball, a superb ball that came in, and that change, I think Pereira has struggled up against Martinelli, but might be a little bit too late here.
So James Justin comes on, and James Justin has recently signed a new contract, one of several players who's done that. Nampalys Mendy is replaced by Wilfred Ndidi. Of course, Brendan Rodgers rotating after punishing European schedule, and that carries on Thursday when they make the trip to France, and winning that Conference League is important to Leicester, or at least it should be, David.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a chance to win a trophy. They've won quite a few of those in the last few years.
Not managed a European trophy, and that would be a really big success for the club. Here's Ødegaard releasing Saka. Leicester are hanging on a bit here. Bukayo Saka into the penalty area, onto his left foot. It's a great run. Shot was deflected, it loops up in the air, and Schmeichel able to gather it. But he has been electrifying from the get-go, Bukayo Saka.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be the full-back that plays behind him, though, because although he does give you the ball the odd time, half the time you're making that lung-busting run for no real reason apart from as a decoy. So Cedric's a lot of mileage on the tank, but not a lot of the ball.
We've talked about youngsters a lot with Arsenal. It's a couple of the experienced players who've scored for them, Partey and Lacazette. Lacazette's contract is up in the summer. Arsenal have said that there aren't currently talks. Here's Albrighton's cross from the right for Leicester, and that's hammered away by Gabriel. Arsenal looking for a clean sheet here. They found those hard to come by in the Premier League this season.
Well, I think the goal will certainly do Lacazette a world of good, because he was involved in numerous goals at Vicarage Road in the Watford game, and he had an awful lot of good stuff happening within his own personal game, but just not a goal to go with it. But he has that now.
Here's Mattis looking for Ndidi, who just lofts the ball over the top for Iheanacho, and I don't think he really expected that, Iheanacho, and he was a bit slow to react.
Yeah. I mean, there is Daka, obviously, that they could come on. Nice little movement here to play the ball in behind, but slightly caught on his heels, Iheanacho.
It was ambitious from Ndidi. Most tackles and interceptions in the Premier League since Ndidi made his debut in January 2017. Shows you the impact that he's had. He's on the ball now, finding Amati. Amati forward to Albrighton. Plays the ball into the box right-footed. He's overhit that, but Harvey Barnes might be able to collect it. He does. Down with the corner flag on the Leicester left. Barnes goes down, and the referee says no free kick. I have to say, I'm amazed about that. And both of our eyes widened, didn't they, really?
A brilliant bit of skill here from Harvey Barnes, just to drag this ball in between the legs of Cedric, who then brought him down. This was a certain foul. I mean, that's the sort of area where Arsenal got their penalty from. You know, drew a foul out wide, cross came in the box, ricochet, handball, and it's a penalty. So consistency from Anthony Taylor.
Short of hitting him with a chair, WWE style, I'm not sure what more he could have done without giving away a free kick there. Here's Martinelli on the charge, inside left channel for Arsenal, in at his right foot, rolls it to Saka, just to the right of the D. Oh, he tried to feed it to Lacazette. Space might have been on for the shot there from Saka. Even if Lacazette got that ball, he had players all around him, and here come Leicester on the counter, and Albrighton's got lots of space on the right. If Maddison can find him, it's Dewsbury Hall, leaves it for Albrighton, his shot's deflected, and the deflection took all of the pace off it, and the ball just drops into the grateful grasp of Aaron Ramsdale. But had they found Albrighton quicker, they might have had a better opportunity.
Yeah, it's good counter-attack from Leicester. Maybe Arsenal didn't make the most of theirs. Certainly when Martinelli cut that ball back, I think it was probably better to go into the path of Ødegaard, but it fell to Saka, who's always then want to come on the inside, and that's where the players were recovering, so they blocked the shot.
Going into this weekend, the famed political pollsters and predictors 5:38 turned their attention to the Premier League's top 4 race. They gave Arsenal a 61% chance of finishing in the top 4. Massive probability when you think of the number of clubs still around them, but of course those games in hand so critical. Here's Barnes, lovely ball, Mtch, can he get the shot away? He's found Barnes again, and Arsenal just took the ball off Harvey Barnes' toe as he was about to smash the ball home.
Oh, that was so unlucky. Lovely bit of play here from Harvey Barnes, breaks inside, plays the ball, slips it to Mtch, tries to reverse it back to him, but terrific covering across from Kieran Tierney. Had to get round on the inside on the cover, and he just took it off the toe of Harvey Barnes.
That's a goal-saving challenge from Tierney. We're into the final 25 minutes of the contest. Leicester's corner towards the near post, headed away by Lacazette. Well, that's a loose touch by Dewsbury Hall, who struggles this evening. He's played so well since coming into the Leicester team this season. He's a bit of an unusual case in the sense that he made his breakthrough with Leicester at the age of 23. He's been with the club since he was 8. He had a brilliant loan at Luton last season, and he said that he was determined to hang on at Leicester and wait for his chance to come. You see a lot of players leave before then because they don't think that breakthrough's coming.
Yeah, and I was watching a bit on Jordan Henderson, in terms of he was playing under Brendan Rodgers, and offer came in for him to go to Fulham, and he dug in and saw it out. I think Dewsbury Hall's got a lot to give, but I think he's also got a lot to learn. I think he can be a really good player, but he still has bits to add to his game, obviously. He's probably ahead of the curve for where he thought he might be as well. I know it's taken a long time to get into this Leicester team, but it is a very good starting 11.
Player that Brendan Rodgers has really relied upon in the last few months. 12 straight starts in the Premier League for Dewsbury Hall.
I go back to the goal they conceded against Wolves. I mean, Partey just pulled off him on the edge of the area, and he just got attracted to the ball, and it's such an important role out of possession, spotting danger, and it's not only with the ball, and I think that's where he's got to just refine his game a bit.
James Justin finding Ndidi. Here is Maddison. It's another of those long spells of Leicester possession as they look for a way back into the game. Here's Harvey Barnes tied to the left touchline. Mikel Arteta in his padded jacket, kicking every ball, giving his players a constant stream of instructions. It's with Luke Thomas down the left-hand side for Barnes. Barnes just jabs it into the penalty area looking for Mtch, but he was just levered off the ball there by Gabriel, and the centre-backs have played pretty well for us.
Yeah, spotted danger quite well, haven't they? Shuffled across. You would say that pass on the inside from Harvey Barnes didn't quite have the care that the previous one did. Slightly ahead of Mtch. Mikel Arteta just waving to his goalkeeper, just settle things down. Maybe he wants him to take a little bit of time here playing out.
Probably expends as much energy as a coach than he did as a player, Arteta. It's extraordinary what he gets through in a 90-minute spell. Ball worked into Lacazette on halfway. 68 minutes gone. Arsenal 2, Leicester 0. Thomas Partey with an early goal and then a penalty from Alex Lacazette. Here is Barnes trying to get beyond 2 or 3 challenges.
And Lacazette ended up on the turf with a challenge. Didn't go his way. A little tantrum. Kicked his arms and his legs like a little child.
Yeah, didn't manage to win over the referee in that way. They rarely respond to that kind of tantrum, truth be told. Forward by Ben White, long down the right-hand side, looking for the tireless Saka. He's been in great form of late. It's his 100th appearance since Mikel Arteta took charge. He's got 6 goals and 3 assists in his last 10 Premier League games. He got a goal and assist in the win against Watford last weekend. He's still only 20.
Yeah, and I've got this, we're talking about it, I think it's only Florian Wirtz with 17. I think what has he been involved in? 13. Scored an assist in 13, Saka. It's only Florian Wirtz who's got more in Europe's top 5 leagues, who is under 21 years of age, so some talent.
Wirtz, an incredible player at Bayer Leverkusen in the Bundesliga. Saka in that bracket without question. He's already had that trial by fire in the European Championship final. That will have taught him so much. Had the bravery to step up and take a spot kick under the most abominable pressure, really. Cedric to take this free kick for Arsenal, just inside Leicester territory. He goes back into his own half for Ben White. You look at Arteta's willingness to use young players since he took charge of Arsenal on Boxing Day 2019. 40 of Arsenal's Premier League goals have been scored by players aged 21 or under. That's more than any other Premier League team. Strong header by Didi over the top of Ødegaard, who showed no real interest in jumping for that one. And then a poor challenge by Thomas on Saka, and Arsenal getting on with it, taking the free kick quickly. Here's Tierney, inside left channel, 30 yards from goal. Tierney rolls it into the D. It's cleared by Dewsbury Hall, but not very far. Nice little flick by Partey to keep possession. Arsenal keeping the pressure on and looking for the third goal that would surely kill the game off.
Well, I think Kieran Tierney, by his standards, with the ball, has had a subpar performance. You know, he's lost it a few times and just hasn't been his usual self. He hasn't attacked as much either, I don't think. Maybe he just allows Martinelli to do it on his own, but when he initially came to Arsenal, he was a real flying machine up and down.
It's going to be some game here on Wednesday between Arsenal and Liverpool. Liverpool pushing Manchester City hard in the title race, and we've got Manchester City's next game coming up tomorrow night. That's away at Crystal Palace. That's at 8 o'clock UK time. Russell Hargreaves and Paul Mortimer, you commentators for that one on Premier League Live. In this game, we've got 19 minutes of normal time to go, and it's Arsenal 2, Leicester 0. Goals from Partey and Lacazette. Ball breaks off and Didi to Iheanacho. Edge of the area, left foot shot. It's claimed high above his head by Aaron Ramsdale, and it was a rather timid effort from Iheanacho, and he's had a tough game.
Yeah, he has. What I would say, I think the two centre-halves converged on him there, and there was a challenge, a partial block which just took this thing out of the ball.
Ball is knocked out to Martinelli, who's worked this left wing beat from the get-go. Infield to Tierney. There's a lot of talk about Martinelli playing through the centre. What do you make of him, David?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think he's so quick. You know, he's a real threat to opposition full-backs. Maybe he could play through the middle. I don't know. It's a bit different in terms of his hold-up play, linking it, etc., and then grabbing goals. I think where he is at the minute kind of suits him.
Cedric's cross from the right-hand side is overhit. Martinelli, not a regular goal scorer. 5 Premier League goals this season. Has picked up in that regard. 5 in his last 12 Premier League appearances. Here is Ødegaard, 10 yards inside the Leicester half. Angled ball into the feet of Martinelli. Out to Tierney, that mop of dark hair. Infield it goes to the barrel-chested Xhaka. Now Ødegaard weaving pretty patterns as always, looking for his next masterpiece, and he just lends the ball to Partey. Now it's Saka, back to Ødegaard, edge of the area, held off the challenge, then just tries to knock it to Martinelli, who juggles with the ball in the penalty area. It's always very elaborate. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, as Leicester clear.
I mean, you know, Smith Rowe to be on the bench, I think is difficult for him to deal with, and these Arsenal fans love Smith Rowe. He's one of their own, but Martin Ødegaard is so talented. I've had a new sort of appreciation of him since seeing him live. He is a top player.
Patson Daka comes on to replace the struggling Iheanacho in attacks. That's a straight change at centre forwards. Patson Daka with 4 Premier League goals in his first season in the English top flight. Here's Saka. He's found Cedric in the area. Left foot shot blocked by Soyuncu, who went to grounds having blocked that ball. The home fans wanted handball again against Soyuncu, but referee unmoved.
And going the other way, looked like a possible block on Daka as Leicester looked to break.
Martinelli gets in there ahead of James Justin. That was nifty play from the Brazilian. He's in the box, he's cut it back. Ødegaard was winding up the left foot shot, but Dewsbury Hall able to take it off his toe. Like a thief in the night, just stealing in to spirit the ball away. 75th minute here on Premier League Live. Arsenal 2, Leicester 0. As things stand, Arsenal are breaking into the top 4, above Manchester United and above West Ham, and they will have played 3 games fewer than those clubs. It's with Partey.
He's done well, isn't he, Partey?
Really good game, moving the ball intelligently. Here's Tierney, wide on the left, approaching the area, goes on the outside, gets the cross to the far post. Lacazette wins the header, but it drifts harmlessly wide of the far post. I suspect, David, he's trying to help that back across goal, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this starts with Thomas Partey, who's kind of looked sort of reborn, really. You know, maybe he's got more confidence, I don't know, but he's trying things that they are coming off. You know, little tricks and flicks. Able to break the lines, his passing looks better.
If Leicester lose this game, they'll be 12th in the Premier League. They'll be 15 points off the top 6 and 11 points above the bottom 3. So they really can start to focus on that Conference League campaign, because they haven't got much going on in the league. Here is Amati. Forwards to James Maddison, who's had some bright moments, but it's been a little short of stardust today. Soonju moves away from Lacazette. It's a heavy touch from Patson Daka. Touch like a trampoline there, and here come Arsenal. Lacazette surrounded by aquamarine shirts, and then Partey with a lovely spin. Almost like a dance move to leave about 3 players trailing in his way. He's enjoying himself today.
He is, and he's played very, very well. You know, with and without the ball. He's fizzing another one into Granit Xhaka.
Here is James Justin. Of course, had a serious injury last year. ACL injury that kept him out for a long time. Leicester have been unlucky with injuries. Justin said one of the reasons he signed his new deal until 2026 was that the Foxes had shown lots of faith in him.
I thought you were going to say I found a car that you wanted, or a nice house or something. Something
well, that
nice.
might have had something to do with it.
Or a pair of trainers in your instance.
Oh, well, you can find cheap trainers. Well, here's the change for Arsenal, and it is Emile Smith-Rowe, back from COVID-19, who will replace Gabriel Martinelli. Excellent performance in the second half from Martinelli, much more dangerous maybe.
Yeah.
And a young man who joined Arsenal at the age of 10, Emile Smith-Rowe, comes on to replace him.
Yeah, I thought Martinelli was, as you say, much more direct second half. This is interesting because I think, you know, they have a bit of conundrum with Smith-Rowe and Martin Odegaard. So I think both want to play as a number 10. Smith-Rowe has the number 10 shirt, but let's see where he plays. I think he's going to move out to the left, and they'll retain Odegaard as the de facto 10.
He has been scoring goals this season, Smith-Rowe. He's got 9 in the Premier League, 10 in all competitions. Here's Xhaka, long run by Xhaka, and then a rather wild thrash at the ball, left-footed. But that got everybody excited just for a moment. A rampaging run from Granit Xhaka.
But he's got to slip the ball. He's got Martin Odegaard he can just give it to in the box, or Lacazette. I think Odegaard was a better option.
Didn't score a Premier League goal in 2021, Granit Xhaka. You have to go back to December 2020 for the last time he scored at this level.
Yeah, it looks like Smith-Rowe's out on the left, so they've retained Martin Odegaard, and that sends a message as well, doesn't it, to Smith-Rowe? If you're going to get in this team, you're probably going to get in out wide. You know, can you do more than Martinelli? Because certainly Odegaard has cemented himself as the number 1, number 10.
He's so creative, Odegaard, and that was the case at Real Sociedad. He was able to produce those wonderful passes for the strikers ahead of him, and if you move Odegaard out wide, you do lose something, don't you?
Yeah. Well, he's not quite as mobile. You miss the pace that you would get from Martinelli. Smith-Rowe isn't that quick, is he? But nonetheless, a nice problem to have if you're Mikel Arteta. 2 talented youngsters.
Got some fantastic depth in the Arsenal squad now. Of course, they've spent a lot of money, so you would expect that. But he's placed his faith in young talent, and he is being rewarded this season. But it is important that Arsenal see it through from here, not just in this game, but in this season. They are unquestionably, if they win this game, in pole position. So if they were to fail to make the top 4 from here, psychologically that'd be a huge blow.
Well, it would do, but nonetheless, I mean, they've recovered from a really shaky start. If you go back to the Brentford game, obviously I know they'd just gone up, so they had that euphoria, but nonetheless.
That's delightful from Odegaard, just a little back flick to find Partey.
You can hear the crowd. I mean, they absolutely love him. The crowd love him. He's just settled straight in. Here he is again.
Well, football is supposed to be about entertainment, and he's certainly entertaining Ødegaard, and so is Saka, and he's been hacked to the ground there, and that's going to be not only a free kick, but it's going to be a yellow card as well. And Saka brought down rather unceremoniously by Daka.
Daka on Saka.
So free kick. Patson Daka hasn't really been able to stamp his authority on the game in an attacking sense.
He certainly stamped on Saka there, though.
I'll set them up, you knock them down.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he has got holes in the back of his socks. I don't think Daka did them. I think he's actually cut them out. But a lot of players like that.
Players do that. Why is that, David?
I don't know. I'm not too sure. I've got holes in my socks, but it's just from wearing
wear and tear. Yes, it's just you not wanting to buy another pair. So free kick here for Arsenal, who are striding towards another important victory. It'll be their 16th in 26 games in the Premier League this season.
Will Arteta smile though? Will he ever smile? Doesn't look like
he might
it.
at the end of the season.
Well, a grimace. He might have a part grimace.
He's intense. Here comes the free kick inside right channel. Ødegaard steps over it. It's Cedric who floats it to the far post. Strong header away. Nice first touch by Smith Rowe. The shot came in from Saka and was blocked just inside the Leicester area, but Leicester just can't get out there, and we're in the final 9 minutes of normal time with Arsenal leading 2-0.
Well, that was interesting because as that shot came in from Saka, Soyuncu closed him down. He had both hands behind his back as if to say, well, I'm not going to give away a handball again, but it's almost a bit too late.
Instinct kicked in for Chala Soyuncu with the penalty awards. Just flicked his fingers towards the ball, and that's why Anthony Taylor gave the spot kick. Here goes Smith Rowe. Doesn't get there ahead of Amati though, who just guides it back to Schmeichel, who lofts the ball into the right back zone and just in, and that's an awful ball. Ødegaard onto it in a flash, 20 yards out inside left channel. It comes for Xhaka. Xhaka pokes it through for Smith Rowe in the area, and a good save by Schmeichel at the near post. Sprawling save, and the ball squirts behind for a corner.
No, he should have scored. He should have scored here, Smith Rowe. I think he's trying to play it through the legs of Schmeichel. Picked out really well from Xhaka. Spread himself. It's gone through the legs, and I think it's just come off Schmeichel's heel.
Does he need to lift that, David?
No, I think the gap is there. To be honest, though, Schmeichel does close the gap to the ground really well. Maybe there wasn't the gap there.
Corner taken short. It's a great run by Ødegaard. He was trying to tee up Cedric, of all people, on the edge of the area, and Leicester able to just hammer the ball away from him.
That was really interesting because normally you associate Schmeichel when he comes flying out, he's off the ground and the gap is there to play it through his legs, but that time there wasn't, and that was really good goalkeeping from Schmeichel. Obviously wary that if you do come flying out, spread yourself as he does at times. That gap is there between the legs, so just kept that a bit closer to the ground.
There is some statistical encouragement for Leicester. 5 of the last 9 Premier League goals Arsenal have conceded have been in the final 10 minutes of games, so there is precedent.
How many more stats have you got left?
Oh,
you must have crossed them all out by now.
Of them. That
is why you are our European football expert, amongst other things, and trainer expert.
I do my best. Here is Xhaka in the centre circle. Out to Cedric.
What was the useless one though you had last week? What was that? You had one that was really...
I'm sure there were plenty of those.
There was a few.
There's at least 20% of those in the overall stats. No. I'm not sure my wife's as enthusiastic about my collection of stats as you are.
I thought it was the kids that got them. I remember seeing that on Twitter once.
Oh yeah, I occasionally put them to work as well.
Yeah, good.
They have to do their fair share, contribute to the mortgage in some way, shape or form. Here is Partey, raking ball into the feet of Ødegaard, just inside Leicester territory. Lovely 1-2 between him and Lacazette. I'm sure you can hear the olays from the Arsenal fans, and the ball was lifted in towards Lacazette. There was a vital touch from a Leicester defender that took it through to Schmeichel. That would have been a glorious goal for us.
I mean, some of the football, Lacazette, Ødegaard, they've certainly found a new favourite here, Arsenal fans.
Well, Arsenal fans thoroughly enjoying this. It's been a tough time for them. Didn't qualify for Europe at all for this season. They've been a long time out of the Champions League, relatively, when you think that they had a long run of qualifying season after season for that particular tournament. And we are going to have another change here for Arsenal. Bukayo Saka is making way for Nicolas Pepe, the Ivorian, and Saka's had a great game.
Oh yeah, he has. I mean, interestingly, the two wingers that have come on are not carbon copies, are they? I mean, I know playing similar positions, you know, Pepe, but it's certainly not as quick. And I think certainly Saka's better.
It's a strange one, Nicolas Pepe. He arrived from Lille with a big reputation. Played excellently in Liga. Played well in European football as well, but for Arsenal it's been a bit hit and miss, although in his last 16 appearances he's been involved in 13 goals, so he does have bursts when he does play well. He was excellent in the Europa League last time Arsenal were in it. Leicester playing themselves into trouble again here in their own half. It was all Brighton who overrun it, and Dewsbury Hall had to come and help him, and Leicester look as though all of the steam and oomph has been taken out of them.
And if they do make another change, I can see Mtch getting ready to come on, and they take Lacazette off. There's nothing worse when a centre forward, like he did against Watford, involved in goals but not getting one, and you get taken off. Whereas here, if he does come off, he's got a goal to his game under his belt, and you just feel so much better as a centre forward.
And sometimes managers do take players off so they can get an ovation as they come off.
Exactly. But there's nothing worse when you've done an awful lot, as he has done. Put shifts in games, hasn't got his goal. Doesn't matter, it was a penalty today. If he does come off, you know, it's a completely different feeling.
Here is Suinju, whose handball has proved to be a pivotal moment in the game because it gave Arsenal the chance to double their advantage, and from that moment on, really, Leicester have found it difficult to lay a glove on the Gunners. It'll be, as things stand, an 11th league defeat of the season for Leicester. They've only won 9 out of 26, including this one. Tough season.
Yep.
So here's the change. Alex Lacazette hands the captain's armband to Emile Smith-Rowe, and Lacazette trudges off, but has done a fine job for his club today. He'll be replaced by Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah, he takes the acclaim, I think rightly so. Dispatched his penalty so well, didn't he? I think it's got to be something special to beat Kasper Schmeichel. I can understand though what he was saying. I think he does stop in his run up, and I thought that was...
It was right on the edge of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I didn't think that was allowed, but we have seen that, you know, in the recent past, players with that little stutter step run up. Jorginho's one of them. I can think of.
Lewandowski does that. He tends to bring in the old stutter step, and there's been a lot of talk in Germany about that, whether that should be allowed or not. So Eddie Nketiah is on. No goals for him in the Premier League this season. You have to go back to April 2021 for his last goal at this level. Had a move to Crystal Palace that fell through in the summer. Yet to start a game in the league for Arsenal this season. He's been on the fringes, really. Space here for Albrighton to cross from the right-hand side. It's too long, though. Thomas will keep it in. We're in the final 2 minutes of normal time here, and it's with Harvey Barnes inside left channel. Rolls it into the box. Nice little back flick from Ndidi. It's come back to Barnes. He jabs it towards Patson Daka, who goes down rather unconvincingly, and Arsenal can break here with Nketiah. Through for Smith-Rowe. Didn't quite have the legs, that pass, to allow Smith-Rowe to really charge onto it. He had to check his stride, and Leicester able to catch up with him.
Yeah, I think Leicester might have done a little bit better here with Daka in the box. He tried to let the ball run across his body, and Gabriel is there. He's a man mountain, really. You've got to get hold of that, feel Gabriel, work the opening, not just turn into him. He's made Gabriel's job far too easy there.
It's a big leap for Patson Daka. He was a regular scorer in the Austrian Bundesliga for Salzburg last season. Arguably the best player in that league last season. He's had moments in games. He scored 4 goals in a remarkable Europa League win against Spartak Moscow earlier this season. but he's only got 4 Premier League goals this season. He's the first Zambian to score a Premier League goal.
Well, those 4, yeah. I mean, those 4 were really well worked with Mtch as well. Those 2 together, playing together.
Ball well brought down by Daka. Got the better of Tierney there, and Tierney brings him down as we move into the final 15 seconds of normal time at the Emirates. And Arsenal, as things stand, heading into the top 4. And they would only be 8 points behind Chelsea in third, with a couple of games in hand on them. So they might be looking up rather than down.
Yeah, but also, look, United are going to give that a good go, I think. I mean, I tipped United to get 4th a few weeks ago, but they probably won't with the games that Arsenal haven't. But nonetheless, you know, they're going to be hot on their tail.
Me too, so we both jinxed them.
Oh.
Manchester United fans can send their emails of complaint to both of us. First minute of 5 that have been added on at the end of the 90 minutes is James Maddison just rolling the ball into the path of Daka, but he was quickly challenged. Arsenal have worked against the ball really well this evening, and it could be another clean sheet for them. Started eking out a few clean sheets. They found it tough for most of the season to do that. Here's Amati surging beyond Nketiah. It's a determined run from centre-back by Amati. Now Maddison. Who can he aim for? That's the question. Drifts the ball delightfully onto the boot of Harvey Barnes, approaching the left corner of the area. Low ball across the edge of the D. Finds Albright, and here's Maddison again. Lovely ball with the outside of the boot. Dewsbury Hall with the cross, that's blocked. Back to Dewsbury Hall, his shot loops up in the air, and Ramsdale comes to get the loose ball and goes down in pain, clutching his hip.
Well, the only thing I'd say, if you go back to Arsenal, how they've defended, every time Leicester have looked to get a shot off, they've got something on the ball. A block, you know, a deflection. They've closed it down really quick, and you know, if it does reach Ramsdale, invariably he's had a little nick on the way, and that goes back to having a real willingness to stop shots, get in the face of things, and you know, put your body on the line. And they've done that well, Arsenal, you've got to say.
That was Nicola Pepe tracking back to make that block. So it's been the forwards as well as the defensive players. Ramsdale seems to be okay. A few Leicester players suggesting there was a bit of gamesmanship there from Ramsdale. Big deep breath, and he prepares to deliver the ball long, right-footed, with those pink and blue boots of his to match his goalkeeping gloves. And the ball goes straight out of play, and that'll be a throw to Leicester. It's a tough one now for Leicester, isn't it, David? Because you'd think they're way too far away from qualifying for Europe. They're out of the domestic cup competitions, but they're not going to go down. So I guess it's about building for next season and trying to win the Conference League.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've given themselves a really good chance in that Conference League, so that would be the focus. But I think Brendan knows that, yeah, anything less than top 10 is going to be a huge disappointment for them, irrespective of, you know, if they do win a European trophy. I mean, they should be, you know, trying to punch out. Well, I mean, if they win that trophy, do they go into the Europa League, right?
Yeah, so that would give them that boost.
Yeah. If they finish outside the Europa League places,
which it looks as though is going to happen. I mean, interestingly, they're only 3 points behind Villa, who are 9th, so there is a chance of finishing in the top 10, no question.
And they've got games in hand, obviously.
Forward by Maddison towards Daka, and Daka went down, and the referee had a look at it and says no penalty, and I think Daka knows that. He was tangling with Gabriel there. Gabriel down, just holding his head, but I don't think anything too untoward there. He's defended really well.
He has. I mean, him and Ben White, you know, they spot the danger early, get across, close down the ball. We saw that in the first half when it was 1v1 Martinelli against Cedric, and already Ben White had shuttled across into that channel as if to say, well, go on then, you run him and I'm here. And I think that added pace has really helped that defensive line for Arsenal.
It's an Arsenal fan base that was spoilt for so long in the Wenger era in terms of winning titles and challenging for trophies, but it's been about rebuilding this season. But there does feel like there's hope around this stadium and genuine enthusiasm about this team, and it was a fan base that was split for so long towards the end of Wenger's reign.
Well, look, Lacazette is out of contract. They are not going to retain him, so they need a centre forward. They need a centre forward. badly, you know, and
you
just
think that's
wonder
where all the money's going to go,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah. The only issue is when they've put all their money and all their eggs in one basket in previous years and signings, I'm not too sure it's always worked out. So let's hope they've got some smart ace up their sleeve that they're thinking about.
They were linked with Dusan Vlahovic before he went to Juventus.
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah.
We're genuinely interested in him. They've been... Kasper Schmeichel came for a routine ball there and let it spin out of his grasp. That was nearly highly embarrassing, but Nketiah wasn't able to latch on to the loose ball. Leicester have got away with that, but it doesn't matter. Mikel Arteta raises both fists to the sky. Arsenal are in the top 4 tonight. A fine win over Leicester City, and here's how you heard it on Premier League Live. Martinelli with the in-swinger towards the near post and guided in brilliantly. It is Thomas Partey who gets there, his second league goal of the season, and Leicester's defensive demons have resurfaced. Yet another goal conceded from a set piece, and Arsenal leads.
Yeah, it's a brilliant ball in.
Here they go again, changing the angle of attack. Albright's cross left-footed. Brilliant ball in. Wonderful save by Ramsdale. How on earth has he clawed that ball away? The ball in was magnificent. The header was superb. And Ramsdale with the save. Ødegaard whipped into the near post. Lacazette was there. White with the volley. Saved brilliantly by Schmeichel. And then a follow-up effort was cleared off the line.
Are they looking at this? They might be looking at this as a possible... They feel there's a possible handball here.
So it is a penalty. That's the first bit. What about the second bit? Lacazette has been performing well without scoring. Can he score here? He can. Right into the top corner. Beautifully done. And the goal drought is over. Alex Lacazette with his 4th Premier League goal of the season. And our Arsenal heading for the top 4 tonight. They lead 2-0. Fabulous win for Arsenal, who are 4th in the table, 51 points from 26 games. Manchester United 5th, 50 points from 29 games. West Ham on 48 points from 29 games. And David, Arsenal deserved winners.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was a really good performance. Certainly, they started well on the front foot, you know, put on a really good show, got their goal. And then, you know, Leicester came back into it in the second part of the first half. But then they again went for it. At the start of the second, and you know, the likes of Martinelli, Ødegaard I thought was outstanding, you know, Thomas Partey, they had a lot of good performance, solid at the back, you know, really strong, didn't give much away, you know, snuffed out a lot of the threats that Leicester possessed, limited them to shots from distance. Even then they got something on and blocked stuff, so you know, in the end it was a quite I wouldn't say comfortable, convincing 3 points for Arsenal.
Yeah, certainly an emphatic victory. One of the moments of the day, really, in the Premier League was a goal for Andriy Yarmolenko, the Ukrainian international, for West Ham against Aston Villa, in light of what's going on in his homeland right now. He burst into tears after scoring that goal as West Ham won. Let's get the reaction of the West Ham boss, David Moyes.
Sometimes football is a great way of making football and making life change and making things look so different, but it also has a way of making you feel better for a little while. So Yarmolenko getting his goal today will be a great moment for him, because it's been a terrible time. And you look, this is the first time we've put him on the bench since, you know, the war started, so he's not felt quite right. He was ill actually in midweek that we couldn't take him to Seville, so came on, and sometimes these things are written.
Really heartbreaking moment there for Andriy Yarmolenko. We've got some massive games coming up on Premier League Live for you. Monday night, 8 o'clock UK time, we've got the latest edition of what's going on in the title race. Manchester City going to Crystal Palace, and then on Wednesday, Liverpool, who are only 3 points behind the leaders Manchester City, they make the trip to face Arsenal. That is going to be an amazing game at the Emirates, and we'll bring you every kick right here on Premier League Live. So the Top four at the moment. Manchester City top on 69 points. Liverpool second on 66. Chelsea third on 59. Arsenal fourth on 51. My thanks to David Connolly for his insight and his company. I've been your match commentator, Kevin Hatchard. It finished Arsenal 2, Leicester 0. You've been listening to Premier League Live.
From the terraces to the touchline, if you're the ultimate football fan, you need to subscribe to the Game Day podcast from TalkSport.
Oh yes! He's done it again!
It's the twice-weekly Premier League roundup that brings you big-name guests, in-depth previews and tough-tackling analysis from the world's biggest football league.